Hello and welcome to my channel, Any-Foody's Kitchen. Today I am going to be making apple pie with my dear friend for a picnic. Let's get to it. I am using Better Homes and Gardens' new cookbook for the pie pastry. I am making this gluten-free. Feel free to use regular flour. Just don't use any extra psyllium husk. I think I pronounced that right, but I'm not quite sure. So we're gonna start off with 2 1/4 cups of flour, 3/4 tablespoons of salt, 2/3 cup shortening, and 8 to 10 tablespoons of water. I am doubling it because I will be making 2 pies today. So let's get to it.
She's putting me to work today. It's okay though. I don't mind. And I might need scissors because I'm failing at opening this. I have no
Slice it, doesn't really matter, just affects the cooking time a slight little bit.
This way's faster, right?
Yep. I also like them in smaller chunks. It gives more cinnamon flavor to the apple itself. We're making a double crust pie, which means there's gonna be the bottom and the top. For me, I like to pre-cook the bottoms because otherwise they will be soggy, and I will show you how to do that. For my flour, I'm using Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1:1 baking flour. I'm also using oat flour. Today I'm using psyllium husk powder. You can use xanthan gum, just half it. I'm going to use about 1 to 2 full teaspoons of psyllium husk. I eye the salt. Feel free to actually measure it out. It's more for taste than anything else. I'm going to softly make sure everything is well combined. I am using the butter flavor. You can use the original, you can use any flavor. I like the butter because it gives it kind of a, I don't know, how do you explain the butter flavor? Like just in general, butter. Like,
I guess it gives it more of a creamy.
Yeah, it gives it like a creamy flavor.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my stand mixer. I will slowly add this in. You want to create pea-sized little like clumps. If you don't get that, feel free to add in a little more slowly until you get that consistency, and I will show you what that consistency is as I'm going along. This is the one I'm going to be using. You can use this one. I just prefer when I'm making pie crust. This is more for bread, but both work as needed. I have a condition called FND, which some of you do know, functional neurological disorder. I tend to stumble on my words, especially with intense heat differences, so it can be super cold and I kind of shut down. The same goes with the heat. So now that things are heating up, my body is regulating and I have a hard time getting words to...
Articulation.
Thank you.
I succeeded.
I am slowly going to add in water. You want to use 8 to 10. Well, I'm doubling it, so I might use 16 to 20. But you want to get that pasta consistency. You want everything to be binded well together, no dry, just well enough to knead. For those of you who made it gluten-free, not gluten-free, it's gonna be like cookie dough. And that is perfectly fine because it is different. We're using a different flour. For those of you who are using gluten flour, it should be a pasta-like consistency. It is going to be thick. It is going to be hard. And that is okay. I only used 11 tablespoons of water. Again, so it all depends on the humidity and everything you use today. Because I did use 2 different types of gluten-free flour, I used oats to finish it off. It is going to change the amount of water you are going to need. It's well combined. This is how it should look. I'm using 2 9-inches. I think one's cake and one's pie. It's okay.
Gimme. the dough keeper.
You are the dough keeper. See, it kind of likes to break.
Mm.
And that is fine. We're just gonna slowly work with it. For now, this is just the bottom. I rolled it out most of the way. I am going to now press it into the pan. I did it most of the way. I'm just going to press it in. For those of you who don't have gluten-free dough, roll it out all the way. You want it very thin. You want like the very tip of a what is it called? A toothpick. You want it very thin so it's nice and flaky. For those with gluten-free, you want to press it in as much as you can. We are going to poke holes with a fork. You want to poke as many holes throughout the whole pie crust so that it cooks evenly, so air gets under and can cook the bottom and the top.
I'm going to annoy you until you do it.
Ta-da! That's how you want it to look. Nice and ta-da. For those of you using gluten pies, line your crust with parchment paper and fill that with beans. Your pie crust will create little bubbles as it's pre-cooking, and we don't want that. For those of us who are making gluten-free pies, our consistency is like a cookie, so it'll rise and then sink back down. And that is what we want. That is perfectly fine. But for those of you making gluten pies, you don't want those big air gaps in your pie crust. I'm going to stick these in the oven at 350 until they're nice and golden brown. You don't want to overcook them, so don't be completely crunchy. If they are a little overcooked, that is fine. You are going to be putting something soft and moist on the inside. It doesn't really affect it much. All the spices and ingredients I use for the apples, I'm going to tell you the quantity I will be using. I'm making it a little less sweet than I normally would because I like to serve it with vanilla ice cream. So,
Don't want it to be a little overpowering.
everything is to taste, your personal preference. I like mine with a little bit more cinnamon. As you are tasting it, there's nothing wrong. Feel free to taste it as it's cooking. Add what you need. That is fine.
It is good to do that.
Butter is mostly melted. I don't want my butter to burn. I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, and 1 tablespoon of, I'm using Australian salt. You can use whatever salt you want. I'm going to let this cook until the butter starts to brown. Butter is starting to brown. I'm going to add in 5 to 6 tablespoons of sugar. You are free to add more. I'm making it less sweet. I am also going to add 1 tablespoon of Mexican blend vanilla. Putting this back on the stove. It's smelling so good. I am going to slowly add in my apples. Stirring consistently so the butter doesn't burn. The reason why I'm slowly adding in the apples is so that we can mix it in and make sure that every single apple gets that flavor. My apples are done. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top to make sure that it gets nice and thick while it's in the pie and doesn't get overly, I don't know the word. Yeah, so it doesn't overly get juicy and secrete a whole bunch of liquids.
And make the crust all soggy.
Yep. So we got a little thicker. My little secret is that I like to add in a little bit of maple syrup on top. I drizzle it. Gives it that extra flavor. The camera is sliding around and my storage has been wonky. So I apologize if the camera is kind of a little hectic today. We are going to roll out our top. If you can't do that with your pie crust, just cut it into strips. You're gonna squish it down and cut it into strips if you can to slightly cover it. So you're gonna cut a little X. You can make it pretty. I'm not gonna risk it. little X down the center. I'm going to put these in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes or until everything is properly cooked. This is completely optional, but I am going to slightly brush some goat's milk or your favorite milk on top of the crust so that they don't burn. My pies are done. Let them cool for 4 hours, unless you're like me and you're craving it so badly. I recommend serving it with vanilla bean ice cream, nice and soft. I hope you enjoy. Like and subscribe the video for more recipes. Bye!